Welcome back, everyone. Our next presentation is all about how to protect your organization against the latest threats in Microsoft 365. I think we can all agree that the world has changed. You've got remote work, digital transformation, and the exploding amounts of data stored in the cloud, all of which are a recipe for increased cybersecurity threats. So let's dig in. So for our agenda today, the good news is this presentation should be a couple of minutes shorter than our first one. So we'll start out by exploring how IT has changed over the last few years and how that has resulted in new cybersecurity threats as a result of remote work, digital transformation, and exploding data in the Microsoft 365 universe. And then we'll talk about some of the solutions that can help mitigate the risk around these cybersecurity threats. And as in our last presentation, please type any questions into chat and we'll answer those at the end. When the pandemic hit in March 2020, many trends that had been slowly coming to fruition suddenly kicked into high gear. I remember the early days of the pandemic when we were hit with a mad rush to set up remote work for our clients. Fortunately, many were in pretty good shape, but for others, it was a shock to the system and they weren't ready. As you can imagine, this opened up new areas of cybersecurity risk. Another trend that is changing the IT world is digital transformation. If you're like me, digital transformation is a fuzzy term that I'm not quite sure what it means. But according to Wikipedia and other sources on the web, it just means driving digital transformation into all areas of your business, fundamentally changing how you operate and deliver value to your customers. While digital transformation is awesome and it is the future of business, it too opens up new areas of cybersecurity risk. Remember when you first migrated to Microsoft 365? If you're like most organizations, you started with email. Now many, if not most organizations, have a lot more data in their Microsoft 365 environment. They've got Teams data, SharePoint data, OneDrive data. And as Microsoft introduces new apps and features, this provides more opportunities for more data. All of these areas mean more cybersecurity threats, as these are additional attack vectors that didn't exist before. So let's explore each of them in a little more detail. So remote work was a new idea for many organizations at the onset of the pandemic back in 2020. Many business leaders were unprepared for what was involved and often ignored any potential cybersecurity risks in order to get employees up and running as quickly as possible. This led to an increase in what's known as the attack surface for an organization. The attack surface is that part of your IT that is exposed to the public internet and must be protected with cybersecurity tools. When your users were in the office, it was much easier to protect them with network-centric cybersecurity tools like firewalls. When users started to work from home, they often were not assigned a laptop and were expected to use their own personal computer to access corporate data. This increased cybersecurity risks exponentially, as your IT provider likely had no visibility into those personal computers and could not determine if they were secure or up to date. Once behind the firewall, they could unleash whatever malware was on them. Most remote workers use their own personal home internet to access their company's corporate network. And most of these home internet connections have a wireless gateway, not a full-blown firewall with the latest cybersecurity protections. Since remote workers rely heavily on email, they are extremely vulnerable to phishing attacks, which have increased in quantity and sophistication and makes them more difficult to detect, especially over the last couple of years. Remote work increases the need for cybersecurity protections like multi-factor authentication and conditional access. We often see Microsoft 365 environments that are poorly secured, leaving vulnerabilities that put the organization at extreme risk. While remote work is considered part of digital transformation, it's really just the tip of the sword. As with the rollout of remote work, the journey to digital transformation for many organizations has meant that cybersecurity has lagged behind. It's easy for business leaders to focus on the efficiency and bottom line of digital transformation projects, leading to reluctance to spend money on cybersecurity. Digital transformation without cybersecurity is a recipe for disaster, as the cybersecurity risks continue to increase and the likelihood of a major disruption to a business is so high that cybersecurity can't be ignored. In addition to decreasing business risk, cybersecurity can also help organizations meet their compliance requirements. In fact, best practices dictate that cybersecurity be the foundation of all of your digital transformation projects. And for most organizations, the amount of data that is stored in the cloud has been growing over the last 10 years. Many of us started out by moving our email to the cloud, maybe to another cloud vendor, and then eventually to Microsoft 365. And then the pandemic hit and accelerated the rate of data being moved to the cloud. Organizations started using Microsoft Teams as their primary communication tool, which is especially true for remote workers. This included not only chat data that would normally be stored in email, but also files and other data. Remote users needed access to file shares on the network, so that meant that data was moved to SharePoint and OneDrive in the Microsoft 365 environment. Now organizations were wondering if they even needed on-premise servers anymore. The answer has been a resounding no, as our clients have been moving their server infrastructure to Microsoft Azure hand over fist. And that has led to lots of increased cybersecurity and business risk. When data and servers are on premises, behind your firewall, with limited remote access via VPN, it was easier to secure your data. And most organizations have understood the need for backup and disaster recovery solutions that meet their business needs. Moving most of your data to Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Azure leads to new cybersecurity business and business risks. While Microsoft makes your data redundant and highly available, it does not back up your data, either in Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Azure. It's always surprising to us when we see new prospective clients without an appropriate cloud backup solution for their cloud data. From a cybersecurity perspective, trusting your data with Microsoft 365 and Azure, or any cloud vendor for that matter, requires additional cybersecurity measures to be put into place. And here are some of the more common risks. The first one is around the Microsoft 365 tenant cybersecurity best practices. Many IT providers know a lot about on-premises server infrastructure best practices, but often lack the skills to properly secure your Microsoft 365 tenant, which many organizations would argue is probably their most important IT system. Monitoring for best practices, looking for new global admins, monitoring for external forwarding rules can protect you against many threats. Next up on the list is the compromised credentials. Since anyone, anywhere in the world can access the Microsoft 365 environment through a browser, just simply by going to portal.office.com, compromised credentials represent a major risk. Unfortunately, users get password fatigue and they end up using the same credentials across many cloud applications, banking, and other sites like social media sites. If any of these sites are hacked and their credentials are stolen, those credentials are then usually dumped into the dark web where other hackers can buy them. With a stolen set of credentials, hackers then log into Microsoft 365, accessing email and other data. To combat this, you'll need multi-factor authentication and conditional access. Email attacks. So phishing attacks have been increased by quantity and sophistication over the last couple of years. And the question is, do you really trust your users to avoid phishing attacks? Your best plan of action is end user security awareness training, phishing simulations to test users, and other cybersecurity tools like Microsoft Defender anti-phishing tools. You'll also want to monitor for external forwarding rules, as this usually is an indication that an email account is being actively compromised. Protecting SharePoint and OneDrive file shares. Your biggest risk for your file data in the cloud is accidental deletion of files or sabotage through purposeful deletion of files, and of course, ransomware infections. Backing up all of your Microsoft 365 cloud data is extremely important. And then finally, we'll talk about protecting Microsoft Azure data. As you move additional apps and data into the Microsoft Azure environment, it's important to protect that data with an appropriate backup solution. Microsoft, as well as third parties, provide backup solutions. All right. So now let's talk briefly about the Fulcrum Group solutions. Here at the Fulcrum Group, we put a lot of effort in staying ahead of the latest cybersecurity threats and business risks to our clients through monitoring threat intelligence, a lot of training, and experience. And here's a rundown of some of the solutions that we offer as protection for our clients. Spot Shield for Microsoft 365 is a cybersecurity monitoring, reporting, and scripting tool that provides monitoring for threats such as new global admins and external forwarding rules, provides on-demand best practices reporting, and also provides scripting tools to increase the speed and accuracy of user onboarding and offboarding. We also have our Spot Shield managed cybersecurity bundles, and that's because that the basic cybersecurity of the past is no longer enough. And so our cybersecurity bundles offer multiple cybersecurity protection tools at a discounted price. Keeper Password Manager. I think we can all agree that password fatigue is real. Offer your users an easier way to create, manage, and submit your passwords that are unique, random, and complex for every cloud application and website that they utilize. It's also a great productivity tool because it'll reduce the amount of time it takes you to log into various websites. Duo MFA. Implement Duo MFA to protect not only your Microsoft 365 access, but also remote access, and help you provide a platform for single sign-on to your various cloud applications. Upgrading to Microsoft Business Premium or E3 if you're not already on one of these subscription types. upgrading to one of these subscription types will increase your cybersecurity protections through conditional access, Microsoft Defender, and more. Spot Protect for Microsoft 365 cloud backups. Our Spot Protect backup solution protects not only email data, but also all of your Teams data, SharePoint, OneDrive data, and we include infinite retention. And then last, we have Microsoft Azure backups. Microsoft's backup solution for Azure is easy to provision and add to your Azure subscription. So I know we went through a ton of information there. So let's get to any questions. Jeremy, did we have any in the chat?
So Yolanda was sharing that they're looking for the best methods to address BYOD devices when away from the corporate school network.
Okay. Now, Steve had started kind of answering that. So
Okay.
Intune, which is part of the business premium and enterprise subscriptions, and it has the ability to configure policies for joint devices. That's not only your Windows devices, but also your mobile devices, both Android and iOS. So allows you to have that capability. All right. What other questions?
Nothing specific from chat.
Okay.
I know I got customers on here and they're not shy, so I don't understand.
Well, Ryan, call one of them out. Let's call them out. Let's see.
Oh, I don't want to do that because I have to go face them soon.
I will say, if there's something so complex, I mean,
April says she's got a list for me.
Feel free to put it here, but if there's something so complex, we still want to know about it. So feel free to communicate through email as well, so that we have an idea of what's going on. What are other concerns?
Let's ask this question here. Thinking of your data in Microsoft 365, who here has a backup solution in place for their Microsoft 365 data? DJ says no. And the good thing is that Microsoft does make your data redundant and highly available, but they don't back it up itself. So Rodney says he's using Veeam. Yeah, so that's a good one. I think we do have backups in place for the Junior League, I believe. And then Courtney was asking if is Keeper Password Manager the same thing as a RoboForm type program, and that's yes. So. All right, Tyson's stepping away, so everybody go ahead and talk about him for a minute while he's leaving. All right, let's see here. What about multi-factor authentication? Who's got multi-factor authentication in place? Ryan, Sergeant Gredham says probably need to talk to him about Keeper. So
noted.
Z says they have Duo. Dan said yes, they've got MFA. Jacob said they just got through pushing out to the whole organization.
April was asking if Keeper can be shared between employees.
There are abilities to create vaults that can be shared, and you can also reassign a vault from one user to another as well. So Daphne says MFA. Rodney says yes. Paul says yes. That's good. I love it. That's probably the single most important thing you can do to protect yourself. So, because the bottom line is that users are going to use the same passwords over and over again. They're going to use them on a website somewhere. That website's going to get hacked. Those credentials are going to be dumped into the dark web, and somebody's going to try to jump into Microsoft 365 tenant based on that. So, all right. Let's see. What about Azure? Who out there is using Microsoft Azure today? Jacob says yes. Dan says yes. We're definitely seeing a lot more of that over the last few months. Doing instead of having a server on site that does your domain services, you can put that into the cloud. You can also host different apps and those kind of things. We had a client recently that just put a small SQL database into the cloud just for kind of some piloting kinds of things. Just going to cost them, what was it, Ryan, about less than $150 a month or something like that.
Yes, sorry. I thought I was muted and I wasn't.
All right. What else? Any other questions that come up? Did I miss any? I answered April's question. Sergeant Grenham. I like how Courtney says we have the backups. It makes me think of that Arby's commercial. I want to start using that. We have the backups. Now I'm hungry. All right. Let's see what else. What other questions? Anything else that we've got?
Jacob just posted a question.
That's a very technical question. Steve, do you want to unmute yourself and try to answer that one, or is that something that we want to take offline about conditional access?
Yeah, that's probably a more detailed conversation.
Okay. We'll take a note of that one, get you an answer on that one, Jacob. And then Steve just posted a little snippet from the last Verizon data breach report that talked about the importance of protecting credentials. So that's a primary way that that hackers get in. So. All right, Jeremy, what else do we have on our agenda today?
If we're finished with Q&A, I mean, feel free to continue to ask questions, but we had a gift card giveaway.
All right. Well, let's get that going. So if we get a drum roll here.
Ryan's the drummer. Ryan's off.
Yeah. You
Give me
can't see the drum though. That's the problem.
Okay, well, just do it with your hands or something. Come on.
I need something to hit.
Yeah.
There, I'll make my whole screen.
Hit the computer.
All right, I am picking it out now, and it is Rodney Mumal. So
Rodney. All right. Congratulations, Rodney.
Congratulations on that. All right.
Just in time for the holiday.
Thank you.
We will email that to you. It'll be an electronic gift card from Amazon. So that was the drum roll from Yolanda there. She had it. She had da-da-da-da-da-da-da. She did good. Yeah, so she did the interpretive dance for us on that part of it. So. All right. Any other final questions? Anything related to IT or cybersecurity or anything else you wanted to have answered? You got a few experts at your availability. let's see, Jacob had a question around LastPass, the breaches. So definitely was a conversation point for us as we were picking a password manager. That was one of the primary reasons that we passed on LastPass as an option for us. I think the good news is for LastPass, even though they had some breaches, none of their actual password vaults for any of their users were breached. So so it was kind of apples and oranges there, but still something that you know makes you think about what vendors you deal with for sure. So good question. All right. What other questions do we have? Any other final ones? Anybody want to unmute and ask a good question? All right. Well, I guess we'll, we got a new one here. How many are ISO 27001 certified? I would bet that on this list, I think there would be very few that were certified at one of the ISO levels. Just looking at the list of attendees. Don't see many in the manufacturing space or anything. I think that is that around manufacturing, or is it other industries? Where is it typically? Oh, it's cybersecurity. Okay, gotcha. Steve, do you know much about that one?
No, a lot more, I guess a lot more of my focus has been around the CIS 18 and NIST, a little bit of CMMC and HIPAA and PCI, but not so much
Gotcha.
ISO 27001.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that question, Rodney. Sorry we couldn't give you more information there. All right, Jeremy, any parting words?
Are you guys going to do a together mode photo?
Yeah, that's what we were going to do. Can we get some peeps to turn on their cameras?
Come on, you cowards. Don't be chicken.
He loves his clients, that's for sure.
All right, we're getting a bunch of cameras in here, so.
See if I can get one more laugh. I was asking Cindy how to prep for the one-liners, and she said straight up that women should not have children after 35. She's serious. She said 35 children is enough. 35 is plenty of children.
All right.
You like my witness relocation photo, David? Turn away from the
Right. Can you do the voice thing as well?
So when the hacker first made it as attempt to connect, remoted in and.
All right. How do we turn on the together mode? I can't even remember how to do that. It's been a while.
Hit the together mode button, go down to more, and then go down to together mode.
Why am I not seeing that on my list of options? Anybody else?
Between apps and camera.
No, I know where that
It
is.
says
I'm
that-
just.
At their large gallery is where I'm seeing it at. About the
Yeah.
fifth, sixth one down.
Gallery, large gallery, and together mode.
Are you still sharing your screen? Maybe you got to stop sharing.
I stopped sharing, but all right. Does anybody else have it? Can screenshot it for me? Pam says I can call the help desk
That's
if you
right.
need it. There we go.
Thanks, Pam.
All right. That's when you know you're loved right there. All right. We get a good one. Anybody?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Well, I got us together, but am I supposed to hit a button somewhere to snap it?
Just control,
Print screen.
alt print screen.
Print screen? Okay,
How's
I
that
popped
one?
one in chat.
there you go.
I didn't count and tell everybody to smile though.
Oh.
We're in the computer industry. We don't smile.
I'm sure somebody blinked.
All right, looks good. All right, what else? Anybody else got anything before we wrap this thing up? Give everybody a little bit of time back.
Definitely appreciate everyone coming on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, guys.
Good.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We'll
it was
send
good.
out,
Hopefully.
We'll send out
I
copies of the
guess, Tom, you don't know what
presentation.
the rules are with this thing, I guess, because it only goes for.
Thanks.